Hey everyone, so today we're going to learn about two more congruent shortcuts for triangles. But before we do, I just want to do a little quick recap over here on the side. Last class we learned on last Friday when we were in class together, we learned that there are two shortcuts for triangle congruency. So the first one we did last time was side, side, side. And remember, that's when you have two triangles where all three sides are marked as congruent to each other. So if you had a situation like that, that would be enough information to say the triangles are congruent. We also learned side angle side. So side angle side is when you have two pairs of sides. So say that one and that one. That's one pair. There's a second pair. And then see how this A is between these two S's? So the marked angle would be in between the two sides. So it would be this angle and this angle. So that would be side angle side. The marked angle has to be in between the two sides. It has to be the included angle. If you had something like this instead, that would be a no. This is not side angle side. This is side side angle, and side side angle does not work. So side angle side, the angle has to be in between the two sides. So we learned that side side angle doesn't work. We also learned that if you just have the angles of a triangle, like if I just gave you, say something like this, just the angles marked, angle, 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 that also does not work. So that would also be a no, which I don't think that came up really in the practice, but it does today. Let's see what else. We also learned that anytime you have vertical angles or a shared side, you should mark those as congruent. So let's say you have a shared side like this. See how this side here is in both of the triangles? So you would mark that as congruent to itself. And then if you have vertical angles, that would look something like this. You would want to mark those vertical angles as congruent before you begin. So that's what we did last time. Today, I'm going to come over to this. We're going to learn two more shortcuts that work that we can add on to that list. So the first one is called angle side angle, and it says if two angles and the included side, and I will remind you of what that means, just like an included angle, an included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the included side of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So what that looks like, I'll draw a little picture in here for you, is you would have angle with the marked side and then another angle. So this is a picture right here of that's what an included side is. It's a side that's between the two angles. It sort of like connects the two. So you would need two triangles where you have two pairs of angles and then the side that's marked is the side between the two angles. That's angle side angle. So if we look at this first example, we're going to determine if these are congruent. See how we have some vertical angles here? So we're going to mark them as congruent with two arcs because one arc is already taken. And then we're going to look at what we have. See how this is an angle, this is a side, and this is an angle. Same thing over here. Remember that your markings in the two triangles have to match. So these definitely do. These are both angle, side, angle. So we would say that yes, these are congruent. I forgot the little by part. By angle, side, angle. And then you have to fill in the statement. So let's see what we did here. I did HOL from H to O to L. So I went from one arc to two arcs to none. So same thing here, from 1 to 2 to none. So it's going to be IOD. Okay, so there's the first one. The second example, notice we have a shared side here. GO is what I call a shared side because it's in both triangles. So we can mark that as congruent to itself. And then notice we have an angle, a side, and an angle. And same thing here, an angle, a side, and an angle. All the markings match. So this again is angle, side, angle. So we're going to say yes by angle, side, angle. And then for the order, let's see, we went G, E, O this time. So from G to E to O. So from two arcs to none to one. So we're going to go 2 to none to 1. So it's going to be OMG. OMG. All right, so those are two examples of angle, side, angle. The last shortcut that we're going to talk about is angle, angle, side. So it's very similar to angle. Well, it's very similar to angle, side, angle because there are two angles and a side. But for angle, angle, side, this side is a non-included side. So let's fill this in and then I'll show you what that looks like. So if two angles and a non-included side of one triangle are congruent to the two angles and non-included side, this is supposed to be an L, of the second triangle, the triangles are congruent. So angle, angle, side. So angle, angle, side would be you have two angles again, but the side that's marked is not in between the two angles. It's like one of the ones that's like off to the side. So that would be what angle, angle, side looks like. Let's do an example here. So number 5, these are not touching, so you can't add in anything, and you actually don't really need to because look at what we have here. See how this angle is congruent to this one? X is congruent to L, and then we have this side that matches. So see how this is angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. It's the side that's marked is not between the two. That would have been angle, side, angle. So these are congruent, and we would say by angle, angle, side. And let's see, Z, Y, X. Z, Y, X. So from the blank angle to 3 arcs to 2. So blank to 3 to 2. It's going to be NML. That's number 5. Let's take a look at number 6. So number 6, they're not touching, so we can't add anything on. So we just have to go by what's marked. So see how there's an angle and an angle. That's one pair. And here's another angle, and here's another angle. So it looks like we just have angles, no sides. So going back to what I said earlier at the beginning, remember how angle, angle, angle is a no, does not work. When you have just congruent angles, those triangles are what's called to be similar triangles. We're going to learn that in a couple of units. So these are going to be a no, not congruent. Remember, you don't fill that in. If there's a by thing, you wouldn't fill that in. For the reason, let's think about why. We could say, well, you could just say angle, angle, angle doesn't work, I suppose. Or you could say you always need at least one side to be marked. All right, so that's our last example. So just to recap, the 4 shortcuts that work. Let's come back over here. We have side, 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 angle, side, and then we just added on angle, side, angle, which looks like this. And then we have angle, angle, side. So today's practice, whoops, I just wrote angle, angle, angle by accident. Today's practice is going to be just on angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. And then tomorrow in class, we will do some practice of all of them. And then we'll have a short little quiz at the end. So let's see, angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. Okay. So that's that. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can go for ACLAB or email me. All right. Have a great day.